Shirley Matthew. I'm Nina Thomas, a very close friend of Shirley's, and I will be taking you through this program this afternoon. We start with a song. Fathers are their daughters' superheroes, and the relationship between them can be unique and wholesome. Shirley remembers in nostalgia spending most evenings with her father in discussions, in laughter, and in song. And this was their favorite song. Please welcome Shirley and Charmaine as they give us a rendition of this song, You Are My Sunshine.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Thank you, Shirley and Charmaine. Before moving on, I'd like to take a moment to ask you to switch off your phones or put them on silent mode. Incidentally, Shirley is a very enthusiastic dancer, and we certainly don't want her to start a jig as soon as she hears a ringtone. Now, a short introduction of the author, Shirley Matthew. Unfortunately, keeping it short is going to be a challenge for me, as we have known each other for the last 40 years. And these years have been filled with jokes, laughter, and her irrepressible humor. But I will give it a try. Shirley Matthew is an established visual artist of Karnataka. Her creative practice, spanning 27 years, includes 19 solo shows and participation in more than 50 group shows in 10 cities of India. She has collectors both in India and abroad. I hope the deep pockets of Kottayam will note this. Shirley is also an art consultant and curator at the Manjushri Kaitan Foundation, Museum of Art belonging to a member of the Birla family. She was encouraged into writing by her mentor in art, the late eminent artist Yusuf Arakal. Now we will have a welcome by Shirley and Denny. Incidentally, Denny has flown in all the way from Washington, D.C. to lend an arm of support to his only sibling and to cheer her on.
Thank you so much, Nina. I'm truly overwhelmed by the response of family and friends, and I welcome you all. My father had a great relationship with his relatives in Kottayam and nearby cities. So it is amazing that all the cousins, even in the third generation, have continued the love and bond, mutual admiration, I would say, when we meet each other. I thank you all, friends, family, and I welcome you to this celebration of my father. I ask my brother to say a few words to welcome you all. You all have seen him as a toddler, many of them, because he's been in the US from a long, long time. So he's seeing many of the relatives for the first time, maybe after 40, 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember them. Yeah, but I was a child, mainly when I saw many of you. So, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the launch of this book, The Champion Lives On, Reflections of a Daughter. Today is not just about the launch of a book, it's a tribute to a man who excelled in just about anything he did, mainly in the athletic arena, his professional career in aviation, and also as a father, a husband, a friend, leaving an indelible mark in the hearts of those who knew him. My sister's dedication in capturing his legacy in this book is a remarkable feat. I'm so glad she did it, or it would all be lost in time. It's impressive that she remembered so many detailed memories about his life and our life as a family. It reflects not only her talent as a writer and researcher, but also her deep love and admiration for our dad. Let us embark on this journey through the pages she has crafted, celebrating a life well lived and a spirit that continues to inspire, encourage, or just bring a smile to anyone who knew him. Each chapter has something interesting, entertaining, or insightful. I also share some valuable life lessons that I learned from him in the tribute section. I hope you will enjoy reading this book. Well done, Devi. Congratulations. I am very proud of you on many fronts. Love you. Thank you all again.
Now we turn our attention to the chief guest of the day, the book. This book is a labor of love. It captures within its pages poignant memories of the special relationship between a loving daughter and a doting father. I have the pleasant job of asking Denny, and Kotachayan was supposed to be here, one of the most loved uncles of Shirley, to launch the book. Unfortunately, we don't have Mr. George Matthew Kotachayan with us. He had a mishap last night, but he's given me his speech, and I will be reading excerpts from that. I will read out excerpts from what Mr. George Matthew Kotachayan has written. Shirley picked me to release the book, considering me as an elder person of Karnavar status, closely related to the family. This moment invokes memories when I traveled through the memory lane 35 years ago, when I had the privilege of officiating in a similar capacity for the engagement of P.G. George's brother's daughter. Now, after 35 years, history repeats itself in a remarkable way by the grace of God Almighty. Recently, when news flashed on India winning dozens of medals at the Asian Games in athletics, I was reminded of contributions of athletes of olden days like George Kotachayan, who laid the strong foundation in sports and games in India. He was an unsung hero during his lifetime, but Shirley, his daughter, has taken the initiative to bring to the limelight his contribution through his biography titled Champion. Indeed, a champion all the way. A job well done, Shirley, and deserving great appreciation. George Utachayan's life was a tapestry of achievements. He was a renowned sprinter, earning the title of a champion in his prime. His journey led him to Delhi, where he built a life with his beloved wife. Their marriage was a testament of love, an example of what a handsome, made-for-each-other couple truly means. George Utachayan was more than just a family man. He was a symbol of generosity and kindness. Those who had the privilege to visit him were greeted with warmth and hospitality. His affection knew no bounds, and his thoughtful gifts, whether it was a basket of mangoes or a bag of aromatic basmati rice, were not just presents but expressions of love. Today, through the remarkable talents of his children, Denny and Shirley, George Utachayan's legacy lives on. His younger brother, P.G. Abraham, was deeply involved in church music, and the famous hymn, Nanniyoda Njan Stuthi Paadidum, the tune and lyrics of which were his contribution to the music world. Thank you for joining us in honoring the life of P.G. George. With these words, with much pleasure, I release the book. These are the words of George Mathew. Whenever anyone picks up a book, one always wonders what the unexpected thoughts of the author were when she wrote the book. Dr. Charmaine Kanita has come all the way from Bangalore to unravel the book and get an insight to the author's mind. Dr. Charmaine Kanita has donned many hats. She is a homeopath, writer, blogger, content and branding strategist ranging from IT to healthcare, from education to lifestyle and hospitality. I invite Dr. Charmaine to initiate the discussion.
Good morning, everyone, and Shirley, thank you for having me here.
It's an honor. Thank you for
It's a
coming.
privilege to be a part of this launch and the book, and I might say a memoir that I haven't read, especially in the Indian context, because most of the memoirs from children about parents has been about all their professional accomplishments, and yours has a very childlike quality to it. The way you have seen your father from the time he was young to the time you grew up, and all his encouragement, his positivity, all of it so vividly explained. So what compelled you to put it out there? Like, how long has it been in you, this story, and, to put it in a book?
Thanks for the question. It's a tough one. So, actually, my father was a great storyteller, and I felt he was an unsung hero. So last year, I thought to myself, next year is going to be his centenary year, and I need to do something as a loving daughter to a father who loved both the children very deeply. So I thought to myself, let me write a book. And I was encouraged to write by, it was mentioned earlier, late Yusuf Arakal, who was my mentor in art. So he said, you need to write. So I thought, okay, let me put my first step forward. And I started writing. It was more of ramblings initially, because 70% was memory. And he used to tell his stories. And when I started writing, I realized I was living his life. I went through his childhood. I felt his angst. I smiled at the humor during his school days, the pranks that he played, then his euphoria during achievements in sports. His life initially was quite a lonely one. I guess people who are ending to be successful, it'll be a lonely journey. So I lived his life. It was quite traumatic for me, and there were times I could feel tears on my cheeks, till I stopped halfway and I was thinking, do you think anybody would be interested in reading a biography? Then I started sharing it with friends, and they said, yes, why don't you go ahead and do it? Then a dear friend had met me. He had come down from the United States. I've known him as a child in my Delhi days. Yaqub Matthew. He said, I've heard so much about your father. You need to write about him because, you know, he has accomplished so much. It was during a bygone era, during the British Raj. So that would be very interesting for people. So then I went back to trying to finish the book, and then I shared it with a dear friend, a journalist of the Hindu, Ruth Dhanaraj. She looked squarely in the eye and she said, you have dared to write a book. That's when I realized, have I bitten off more than I can chew? Because as a visual artist, it was quite a daunting task. And now I admire anybody who writes a book. So it was quite a journey for me. And it is a memoir for a man who accomplished a lot. And I felt different connotation. So as a visual artist, it was very challenging.
Yeah. But I mean, about his life, about the way he lived, what stood out for you about him? His upbringing, the way he moved through challenges, and it wasn't done with a lot of pushback, resistance. He flowed from sports, he went into the aviation sector, he moved cities, he adjusted, and not once did he lose his, joy in life. So what about him still stands out for you?
He was a very dynamic personality, and people who reached out to him for advice or shared, listened to his experiences, they felt that he had so much to inspire them. And he left Kerala at the age of 16, which was very young. He was invited by Madras Christian College to represent them, because by then he was a known personality as a sportsman and had a rare ability to excel in two sports at the same time, which I don't think anybody has done that. He was good, he excelled in track and field and in football. Okay. So he left at the age of 16, and his life, even though he had the upbringing from Kerala, his exposure to major cities and everything that he did, he just met every challenge and head on, and he tried to excel in whatever he did, whether it was in sports or aviation or whatever. So, that's what I think.
How do you explain his positivity through it all, through all of life's challenges?
That is very inspiring, because there are times he went through difficulties. He was a personality who would turn it around. Anything in his life, if there was negativity, he would turn it around. And I noticed that my brother and I, we would share things, and my dad's sense of humor, luckily both of us have inherited that from him, and we would actually have a good laugh over any negative experience in our life and then say whatever, that kind of a thing. I learned from him, because he would turn it around. If he was he may not have had a very loving relationship with his father, because it was of that era, the father and son, they wouldn't show affection. So he turned it around and he showered us with love, and a hug, or an appreciation. I felt that was what was very important.
Can you share one or two anecdotes of somewhere in your childhood where he used to pull a lot of legs and people's legs?
I've written it in the book as to how once my mom, she was she would get all engrossed watching some TV program and all. So one day he sat there and my brother was walking into the room. He winked at him, signaled, and pretended, and told him to turn down the volume, which my mom didn't see. She didn't notice it. She kept staring at the TV. And by then my brother had turned down the volume, and then they started pretending that they could hear everything. So she was like, Endua ningle, I'm thinking in Malayalam. Endua ningle kekkanne, eniki kekkamella, you know. So my dad saying, oh, we can hear very well, and you know, and they're laughing and pretending that they could understand the program, till she caught on at some point, and they had a good laugh. So
Yeah. So you all were like used to his.
yeah, we were
being
used to his sense of humor was quite childlike, like you mentioned. So that was very infectious, you know. Like Picasso once has said that it took me 20 years to unlearn and to paint like a child. So the child in you, if it stays, you stay youthful. And my dad did that. He was youthful. He had no gray hairs. At the age of 78, he had only, I counted them, there were only 6 gray hairs. It was just jet black. And the secret could be nallanna. He used to apply that once a week. Gingerly oil, for those who don't know Malayalam.
Right. Another thing that stands out in the book is his, his integrity, and in today's world, it is something that we can't speak too much about, given how rapidly the world is changing. But he had so many instances in his life when he could have taken advantage of his position, what he was given, but refused to, and that's something that stays with you.
Yes,
as
that's
children.
very inspiring actually, and that has remained. It's like a DNA for both of us, for my brother and myself. I have written about that. Those are very strong incidents when he could have easily accepted what was given to him, and he was so principled that he didn't care about what the money. He was just going straight forward without any. Even he would fly over the bumps in his life. So all of you will be reading those incidents, and I don't want to spoil it by, telling everyone about it.
Beyond this book, what another thing that kind of goes through the entire narrative is how closely your Syrian Christian upbringing, the culture, the background is woven into it. So this book isn't just a memoir about you speaking about your father, but also everything around him, where he was brought up, his interaction with family. Can you shed a bit more light on that?
Yeah, actually, I was aiming towards a larger readership, not our relatives and friends alone. And many of my friends don't know about the Syrian Christian community. So I thought, let me do a little bit of research, and mainly about Kottayam, which was a bustling town. And those days, and very strangely, my father had documented some of it. He sent me Xeroxed clippings. It looked as though he wanted me to do something. Later on, when I searched and I found his documents, there was about Kottayam, at one time being ruled by the Tukumkur kings. And that was interesting information. So I did a lot of research, and I thought, let me put it like a story with chapters, so that it will be of interest to the reader about how he... yes, the Syrian Christians are very, very conservative those days.
So was he...
yeah, so that's what, it was there in him. There was a bit of conservative aspect in him, but because he left Kerala at the age of 16 and went to big cities, so his outlook did change quite a bit.
Yeah, so he was a product of the culture.
Yes, he was a product of it. Like, I was supposed to reach home at 6 every evening. I was born and brought up in Delhi. My brother was given the leverage of 8:30. That's a patriarchal system in him. And so, but yet, that bond between father and daughter, he encouraged me to further my talents. And I've written about that also as to what he did. I don't want to reveal that. So that was there. So it was a mix of everything.
So what, I mean, for him to come from there and then think of your place in the world, as his children, him, the encouragement that he gave? Was it then, he has so many people in one person at different stages in his life, all of his achievements. So how easy was it for him, if you observed him as a daughter? Was it a struggle for him? Was it seamless when he moved places and he moved?
Yeah, I think it was seamless.
Okay.
It was difficult for him to leave at the young age of 16 on his own, boarding a train, going to an unknown land, but he just took everything in his stride. And that is very inspiring. And I thought for youngsters to read a book like that, where for him, every challenge, he just went and, went head on into it. And his quick decision making and, not being too emotional about it. Yes, he was a very emotional man, very sensitive, very loving, but where decisions are concerned, he would just plunge into it head on and deal with it.
That's something I find a bit, it's a duality,
Yeah,
very opposing.
Yeah,
where
it's
he
like
was-
a dual part of him, which became clinical when a decision has to be made, especially in the aviation sector. Sports was different, but in aviation he had to make a lot of important decisions, which kind of helped him on and helped others too.
Okay, so he was emotional yet unemotional. And then
Yes, he was all heart, I would say. Those who have dealt with him, who have experienced him, like they said, his mother was a very loving lady, and she used to, maybe he learnt it from her, that every guest who came to the house would get something, either a nutmeg fruit from her tree that she nurtured. All these little things. So he must have learnt that, must be learnt behavior. And then he took it to another level altogether.
Yeah, and I think the connections you have mentioned in the book, where he used to
Yeah.
write these long letters to
Yes. Oh my God,
to
they were long.
family. And,
Yeah, like I joked about it in the book. And the siblings, they used to write long letters. Either they'd be ranting against each other or they'd be lovingly praising each other. It was all written, in Malayalam. So my dad used to read it and my mom couldn't deal with it. She said, she wanted just a brief of it. She didn't want to, she never wrote letters. So for her it was like,
yeah.
she didn't want to deal with it.
No, okay. So I just want to, being the oldest child, and from sitting on his shoulders to him taking you around, and you had a front seat view of his life unfolding.
Yeah.
So the way you have narrated it, so much of it is him recounting those incidents as well as you,
Yeah.
Viewing it. What's endeared him to you the most?
Like I said before, he was a great storyteller. So he used to tell us stories, and we used to visualize it. I don't know if, Denny, did you visualize it? I was visualizing everything. He used to tell us stories about King Richard. That was his,
Yes, yeah.
the protagonist was always King Richard. And his, journey through animals, through the jungle, and meeting all the animals, and he did it all with sound effects, mind you. So there was that, it was stayed within me, and maybe that kind of
that came out.
later on. And when I was writing the book, it was visual. As an artist, I think the whole thing was visual. It was like a movie at some point. So
That's another
maybe I imbibed that from him. Who knows?
No, that's another thing where the art and the writing, it's all about
Yes.
expressing, and
Yeah.
what came first, the art, and then not because of the book, but the
Yeah,
art came
art
first,
came
or
first.
the writing.
Yeah, the art came, but there was drama in me. I used to love theatres. So maybe that thing came on to theatre, then went on to art, and then storytelling. Culmination is the book.
Yeah.
And if somebody said, "Oh, may you write more book?" I said, "Thank you, but no, thank you. This is it." It was a tough journey for me.
It was an emotional.
Very emotional and tough. Like, I had to deal with the person. I didn't know you have to format the book, and you helped me a lot. In between, I would ask, I'd send these little messages. What do I do now? How do I go about it? So she would give me her gyan about it, and I would note it down. And so that was quite something. It was not easy for me, but I did it.
I'm so glad you did. And just one final question. If he was here today, your father, what would he think about your book?
Oh.
And about you?
He would just be
Dedicated
so
towards-
emotional, and he would just hug me, and he would say, "Shirl, darling, I'm proud of you." I was known as Shirl, darling, and my cousins who know that, they also started calling me that. So, that was
Yeah.
special for me, yes. I'm sure his spirit is there, like my cousin Laila told me. She said, "Your dad's spirit is there with you, definitely. And I'm sure he'll lead you." And it happened. It was as though he was leading me. Everything, I thank God that he put certain people into my life as though they are meant to carry on my journey of, writing this book.
Thank you. It's really emotional. And I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
saying it to be
emotional.
a
In fact,
friend, but-
I was stepping out. I said a little prayer, and then I became very emotional. I said, "Oh gosh, this is the day. Now it's over." And Dad, if he had been alive, it would have been 100 years. And I really am so overwhelmed to see the people who mean well for me, who have come. It's really amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the book too.
And
yes.
anybody.
Would you like to-
And also this book is for everyone. It's kept on the table with, I have hand painted the book marks, signed at the back also. And if any of you would like to, who's known my dad, or would like to say something, you're most welcome. Or you would ask a question. I'd like to introduce my friends who've come down from Mumbai and Bangalore. This Captain Girish Kaushik. It's amazing, after many years of friendship, his wife Beulah, we realized that his father knew my father, Captain Kaushik. Imagine, we didn't know that. And they both were in Indian Airlines. There's Leena also. They were, and we said, wow, so that means we all are separated somehow by 6 degrees. That's what they say. Think about it. And Hazel and Chanakya, Chanakya was the guy who drove down all the way from Bengaluru to give support. Thank you guys, that's wonderful. And all of you, it's been it's a culmination of a journey which all of them have made it so special. And I must say that how, Danny, would you like to say, one of the incidents I'd like to say, it's there in the book, how my dad, because he used to visualize a lot, there was this, he and his favorite cousin, Malekal Babu, Lailas and Bhavans, and where are the other siblings? They're Shaji and all of them, Aji, Viji, all of them, their father, there's a George Child. So, Malekal Babu and he, as kids, were told by one of the elders to get a herb from the apothecary. So the herb's name was Koruva Ver. Has anybody heard of that? This was bygone era, it was 1920s. So Koruva Ver. So they had to get it. Those days the monetary exchange was Nal Kash. So those who have not heard of it, so the song, so they said, let's create a song and go and say, because otherwise they can't remember. So the
And they had to
song,
walk all the way to this place to get it.
Yeah.
So they started the journey by singing.
Koruva Vere, Koruva Vere, Koruva Vere, Nal Kashi no Koruva Vere Venalo.
And they walked all the way there, and they stood in front of the guy, and they forgot to say what they wanted.
So they sang
So they
it.
started singing again. And the guy found it so funny, he just gave it to them.
Yeah. So I guess, this book will make you smile and also realize, that my dad was a very dynamic personality. He could cook, he could sing,
And I just want to add that he had one of the things was his faith in God and his strong relationship with Vattascheril Tirumeni. And how able to just dig deep and at some point give it up to God. Have that faith. And I think that gave him a lot of freedom and courage to deal with the unknown. Like you asked, how did he start a new phase? And it was this, he had a passion for life, and he loved people. And he was very generous. I've never met somebody who did not care about money. He really didn't. He never chased it. If he had 100, he would spend 200. And my mom would go crazy, She was all about the math and the savings. He couldn't care less.
She was a maths honors graduate, by the way.
And he lived life large, and it was great to be his son. And I feel blessed that I had parents like I did, and they taught us a lot, and it was very inspiring. So there's a lot you can read, a lot about right from his Syrian Christian background all the way through going to Lahore for the Olympics. That's what it was called in those days. Just dealing with life unknown. At the core of it all, I felt there was a loneliness, but the foundation was his faith. Faith in God, faith in his beliefs, and he gave love. And that's one thing I learned was he never asked for love. He gave love to receive love. And I tried to do that. So thank you. And thank you, Shirley, again, for writing the book. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you all coming.
What? No, she's supposed. You'll read a little paragraph. No, you read what you like, what you felt was good. I'll get emotional. I might start crying because I'm also the emotional kind like him. So at the drop of a hat, I might start crying. So I don't want to embarrass you all. What, CK? You have to say something.
He's got his hanky ready.
Oh, where's the cravat? Yeah, read that. That'll come later. That'll come later. Just read a bit.
Okay, a small excerpt.
Okay, this is a small excerpt which Charmaine found interesting.
Yes, okay. As a young student in school, he was known to be a prankster to classmates, while teachers too were not spared. One notable prank was when he brought a homemade sweet to school one day with a plan to entertain his classmates. His angelic mother would have been aghast and turned pale at the thought of what would be the outcome of her efforts of making these sweets with loving hands. The prank was well planned as he waited for the not-so-liked teacher's class to enter the classroom. Just before the dreaded teacher walked in, he threw the sweet, popularly known as
Avlosunda. Avlosunda. My grandmother made really good avlosunda.
A delicacy that was made of roasted rice flour, grated coconut and jaggery, rolled into small balls onto the blackboard. The unsuspecting man started writing on the blackboard, and by then hungry ants had attacked the sweets. Soon the teacher, much to the delight of the students, was seen hopping all over the place while scratching his limbs in anguish, as ants attacked him, thinking he was an extended part of the delicious fare. The students brought the class down with peals of laughter, and as expected, the class was dismissed. Another para.
Oh.
George Kuti thrived on a vivid imagination and once had the temerity to try to sharpen his pencil on the head of a shaven-headed classmate with growing bristles of hair sitting ahead of his desk. He would entertain his classmates as he mimicked a teacher who would get stuck taking a deep breath while saying a particular word, and would use a hand gesture of reaching out as if to grab that word from thin air. Students would watch that teacher struggle in class, mouths covered with muffled laughter. The classmates loved his antics and his innovative methods of distraction from studies that made school life something to look forward to. always mischievous.
He was really naughty. He was really mischievous. And my brother was. He was
He
mischievous.
had imagination.
Yeah, I mean,
Great imagination.
so my brother was known to be naughty, and I was to a certain extent in school also. So that I've written some of it in the book, in the hope that none of you will condemn me after this. So,
No, but yes,
yeah.
a lot of the book is peppered with such fun.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you.
It's childlike.
At least you found it interesting
Yes.
to read.
Yeah,
Great.
it is. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Charmaine. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Shirley.
Do you have any questions to shoot at her or me? Yep. Okay, Neena.
We close this very pleasant function with a reading from Khalil Gibran. Shirley was left distraught at the unexpected passing away of her father. She has carried the grief with her for a long time and has written this book as a floral tribute to the memory of her father. Her sentiments are echoed in the lines of the poem Beauty of Death. I call upon Talitha Abraham to do the reading.
The Beauty of Death by Khalil Gibran. Lament me not, but sing songs of youth and joy. Shed not tears upon me, but sing of harvest and the winepress. Utter no sigh of agony, but draw upon my face with your finger the symbol of love and joy. Disturb not the air's tranquility with chanting and requiems, but let your hearts sing with me the song of eternal life. Mourn me not with apparel of black, but dress in color and rejoice with me. Talk not of my departure with sighs in your hearts. Close your eyes, and you will see me with you forevermore. Thank you.
Thank you, Talitha. We have now come to the end of the program. Please do take a moment to meet Shirley and to receive a copy of the book. Each book comes with a beautiful bookmark, personally painted by Shirley. Lunch has been served for all. Yes, we've come to the end of the program. Now we will have the vote of thanks by Shirley.
Thank you all, dear ones, for making time and making the effort to come for this special occasion. More than a book launch, it is a celebration of my father's life. I would like to give a special thanks to my friend Yakub, who pushed me into this in the US. I hope Yakub is listening to that. And special thanks to Nina for being my unending support. There were times I felt that nothing was going right, and she would be there to, push me forward and tell me that, no, things will be right. Despite constraints and many responsibilities, Nina flew down from Bengaluru and just to give me support. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tomachan, her husband, for, saying, okay, Nina, you need to go, because he wasn't keeping well. I also would like to thank my dear friend Sindhu. Sindhu Thomas, is that your official name? Okay. She also helped me throughout, telling me, giving me, she was actually a sounding board for me, and she gave me sound advice, I would say. Thank you, Sindhu. And Roy, for coming all the way. I have my cousins who have all those cousins who and friends who came from Ernakulam. Please raise your hands. I'd like to see you all. Yay! Thank you for coming. Those from the regions around Kottayam, please raise your hand. I'd like to see you. Thank you for coming. And of course, friends from Kottayam, relatives also from Kottayam, all of you, thank you again. I would like to give a special thanks to Deepan Thomas. Manager, thank you, Deepan. I sent him unending number of lists, and now he's so confused, but yet he managed somehow because it wasn't easy to pull it off from far. So Deepan bore the brunt of it. Thank you, Deepan. I'd like to thank the management of IDA, Jacoby Jacob. I hope you're here. He said he would be coming. Thank you for coming and for all the arrangements. I'd like to thank Ranjit, who was recommended by Deepan for the unusual backdrop. I told him in Malayalam, Elamadi. So he's put leaves of all kinds of Elas, leaves, and which is very childlike, I would say, and that goes with my father's way of thinking, bringing the child forward. I'd like to thank Radish, who's in charge of the YouTube link. Ratnam, my cousin of Bhavan Studios, who has arranged for the photography. Prasad, his elder brother, who recommended Ida and said their food is good. So, that's a big thank you for that. I would also like to thank the technician for the sound, and my brother especially, who's come down all the way from the US to support me. My husband is there. He'd like to hide his face. He hates to be in the limelight, so he's there somewhere in one corner. And of course, there he's waving now. Then of course, Kuttachan Chayan, he couldn't come. It's very sad. I mean, I really miss him. He was a favorite cousin and an uncle of my dad and my uncle. He had a little tumble and he's in hospital, but he kept saying, I have to go for my niece's launch, but it was not meant to be. I know he's there in spirit. I would like to thank Malayalam Manorama for the wonderful article written by Raju Matthew, sorry. I'd like to thank Maman Matthew for agreeing to put that article and approving it. That's very important. So that article has come, and now my father has arrived, I would say. Many of you now know him, and this has been very special. I thank you all once again, and God bless all of you. Charmaine, of course, that thanks remain. Special thanks to Charmaine, who came with her little daughter. Where are you, Tia? Yeah, she's waving from there. She came all the way from Bengaluru to give me support, and I hope you like the interaction between Charmaine and me. Thank you once again. God bless. Lunch is served whenever you would like to have lunch. And please don't forget to take a book. If you want, I'll be coming there to sign. There are some pre-signed books, and you have the choice of choosing your bookmark for the book. Thank you.
Thank you.